Welcome to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen.
Hey everyone, you're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen. Our co-host today is Jace LeJeune. Jace, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, Lee.
A Monday show is always very in-depth. I mean, we're talking high school football, recruiting, college football, pro football today. If we have time and it allows it, we'll talk college baseball, LSU. College basketball starting up. And we have LSU to talk about. We have the state colleges to talk about. We have the SEC. I watched a lot of college football this weekend. I actually watched the Saints this weekend. I got to admit, I watched the Bengals more than the Saints.
Okay.
I did watch the Saints back and forth. It was an ugly game.
It was an up and down game for sure.
Strange season, like I thought. I mean, I'm not always right, but I was right. I think I'm going to be right on their final record. They're going to be.
I thought they'll be 3-2 heading to the bye. I mean, that's pretty much what I thought it would be.
10-7 is really what I'm sticking with on that. And we'll talk a lot about as much as we can talk about today. I mean, we're going to get an hour in, and I think a lot of our listeners, it's growing every week statewide. And I want to mention before we get going to thank our sponsors, Treads and Care Tire Company in Central, locally owned and operated. Give them a call at 331-8144. Devin Holly, appreciate your business. Please give them a call. John Harvey Toyota, which is in Shreveport, Bossier City, Lexus, John Harvey Toyota, Harvey Subaru, new and used cars. Also, I want to talk about, and I don't have to, I'm definitely going to go to him if I have a nick on my car, if I need paint job. Madine's Collision Center in Baton Rouge, Louisiana on Kincaid Avenue. And our new sponsor, Gros Savon Waterfall and Wildlife Lodge, the true sportsman's paradise near Lake Charles. The number to call is 337-598-2357. Man, they have over 50,000 acres of private land, coastal prairies, agriculture lands, freshwater marshes, and brackish. I mean, what an incredible. I've fished it. Jace, it is sportsman's paradise.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it.
Yep.
Open for rentals. Gros Savon Lakeside on Calcasieu Lake. Info at grossavon.com. And they've got a great, it's just a great setup. I think Claude Leach and his family do a wonderful job. And trust me, if you want to go just bass fishing, they have hunting, they have everything you can imagine there. Overnight, lodging's incredible. I've never eaten better, Jace. And I've never had I've been a bass fisherman for a long time. And I got to admit, since I got into football heavily as an adult, I haven't been fishing as much. But the best experience I've ever experienced in my life, bass fishing, was Gros Savon.
Wow.
I mean, we caught, between me, a friend of mine, Joe Bergamo, and a friend of mine, Jamie Bice, who's from Lake Charles, all former LSU players, we caught over 150 bass combined in 3 hours.
That's amazing.
3 hours?
Yep.
3 hours.
So 50 bass per hour on that rate?
Yeah.
Wow.
Talking about have fun, and then overnight you get to eat like the greatest of chefs. It's a great place. But be sure to call if you want to set up a trip for your family, maybe a son and dad trip, or son and daughter, or husband and wife.
Just a getaway trip.
Bunch of guys that want to go fish or hunt and have a great time overnight. They have great lodges, like I said, great overnight. 337-598-2357. Let's go ahead and start talking about LSU.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, here we go.
Oh, boy.
People are saying, oh, no, everybody's talking about this and talking about that and talking about, hey, he's going to get fired. Well, now we know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Here's my 3 cents. 2 years ago, when LSU went 5-5, which I still don't know how they went 5-5, something was missing.
Yeah.
Everybody thought, well, it was COVID. Yeah, that hurt a little bit.
And that's why he got pretty much like a pass last year because of COVID. Yeah. We understand that.
But this year, you still see, and you remember me saying on the show 3 weeks ago, after the Auburn game, I told you, Jace, I said, they just don't look like they're playing hard.
Yeah.
And then the wheels came off against Kentucky.
Yeah, I think this really showed. I saw some fight in them in the Auburn game. This Kentucky game, it showed that the team didn't really play with any pride.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying no one didn't play hard. I'm just saying they just didn't play as a team.
Right.
Some guys were just kind of out there, just going through the motions.
Yep.
And against Auburn, the same thing in the second half. Just kind of – and here's the point I'm going to get to. There needs to be a cultural change with this football program.
Yep.
And that in itself where you need a coaching change, okay?
Yeah, it just needs a reset button.
Need a reset button. Yep. And too many fans, I think, and fans don't realize it because they get caught up with DBU or this U or LFLU. Right. I think the talk needs to kind of go toward the other direction a little bit on being team first, individual second.
Yep.
And until that happens, I don't think LSU is going to be competing for championships again because the team needs to go out there and be a team and think about winning games and championships. And the guy over there in Birmingham and Tuscaloosa, Alabama, I don't want to say his name again because people don't like to.
Yeah, but it's like Voldemort and Harry Potter. You can't say his name.
He brings in great players from all over the country. He puts his team together. He replaces guys every year in the first round, right? It's not like Alabama returns their whole team every year. And it's a team. And when you're not a team, you sit the bench.
Yep.
When you become an individual over there,
right?
You get punished. You get it's like, okay,
it happened in the Miami game.
Yeah.
Billingsley, he set Billingsley down and the other tight end played. It happens.
And I'm not saying you can't promote NFL because all these kids want to go to the NFL, but before you get to the NFL, you need to learn and be ready to get to the NFL and be ready for that jump because it's all about team. And you know, it was really hard to see a lot of these coaches like Mac Brown when he was at Texas, Jace, it happened.
Yeah.
Mac started recruiting all over the country. And first of all, why do you do that when you got the state of
Texas? You got the whole state of Texas.
Started getting lazy in recruiting, right? Everybody's like, Mac Brown's the greatest recruiter ever. He had Vince Young. They won the national championship. Guess what? After that, it went kung.
Yep. Because had some decent years with Colt McCoy, but after that, it was pretty lean.
But it didn't become team anymore. It was more about individuals coming in from California or New York, and they didn't stick to that template of Texas. You know, where's Vince Young from? Houston, Texas.
Yep.
You know, where's Earl Campbell from? Tyler, Texas, land of roses. I mean, Louisiana needs to, the point I'm getting to, Louisiana needs to get back to being important to LSU. And they need to really quit following recruiting rankings, which, you know, I don't. I go by if they can play at LSU, if they can't. And there's a lot of kids, and you hear me say it all the time off the record, that there's so many kids in Louisiana that can play at LSU that will give you everything they have to be there.
Yep.
And you don't see that right now in a lot of the kids.
Right.
You know, I mean, they need that again. They need those guys that are going to battle and want to be at LSU and want to win championships, and that has to change.
I agree.
Right now, you would hope the kids that are on the team just need direction. They need the leadership, and whatever Woodward does, I have the utmost confidence, like I mentioned 2 weeks ago, that Scott Woodward will do it right.
Yeah,
the time is right.
He's proven over and over again that he can do it. It shows. But when it comes down to Lee, I mean, in the end, for LSU, it comes down to the players. Do they really want to be there or not? Like they can control how the rest of the season can go. It's really going to be up to them, no matter what happens next couple of weeks with the coaches. There's an interim coach coming in, or Ed's gone. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
At the very end, it's going to come down to these players. Like the coaches are going to want to the assistant coaches are going to do their job like the rest couple of weeks. It's going to come down to these players on the field to really change what the end of the season brings. And
yeah, let's take a break.
Control.
We'll come back, talk more about LSU, and then we'll talk high school football. We'll talk about the colleges and football, the Southeasterns of the world, the Nicholls States, the Gramblings, the Southerns. We'll be right back. Listen, whatever you're driving right now, Tommy Harvey wants it. Bring it in to Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City, or John Harvey Toyota. They're paying big bucks for all trades right now. They'll cut you a check right there. Tell them Lee sent you. Welcome back. You listen to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen. Our co-host today is Jace LeJeune. What I've always seen, Jace, over the last 25 years, going back to LSU or any college, once there's that situation where the coach is about to get fired, the one thing you got to worry about is the college assistants that you have already looking for jobs. You have that going on, and it's normal. I just want the listeners to know that that's a normal human thing because they have families.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're an assistant, and they know that this is probably going to end for, Ed pretty soon, whenever Scott, it might happen today. Right?
Yeah, that's the toughest part being an assistant coach. You're pretty much control where the head coach goes.
So recruiting is kind of on pause.
Yep.
Because you can't say, hey, I'm going to be here. I don't know if I'm going to be here. And so that's why I think in today's age, Jace, with social media and the early signing period being in December, I think you can't keep a guy for a season.
Mm-hmm.
Used to, you could, but now you have an early signing period where you're going to lose all that if you don't have a change or have, all right, we're going to appoint these two coaches that are coming back, like whoever they're going to be on the staff.
Yeah.
And they try and salvage December, and then you come back in the late signing period and you try and get what you need, either transfers or the new rule is going to help the new coach, 7 replacements.
Yeah, which would help. And that's good that they did. The NCAA did an adjustment with that, knowing that this was a big problem.
Yeah.
So it was really good that they were heads up about it and made.
That's
going to
help LSU in this situation to have those 7 because LSU has lost a lot of players to the portal the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And you watching the Kentucky game, and even though Mason Smith's out there, right, and you've got Roy's playing, and you got a couple other good players out there. You got the DNBJ.
That's a good thing, Lee, because
there's talent coming up.
There's talent coming up, and Malik Neighbors had a touchdown catch. A lot of the bright spots are the young guys, so that's something you can build on.
Yeah,
and I know this year's a lost season anyway, so try to end the season with some good momentum. When you talk about recruiting, just keep recruiting where it's at, and at this point, whoever the next coach is going to be is going to find himself in a good enough position to build something.
And look, whenever they do this, whenever they make the change, and then when they make the hire, the key to me again is that December signing period.
Yeah,
it's not the end all because you can actually sign your class in the late signing period and do okay.
Yep.
You can still get the kids that want to come to LSU anyway, like Bo Bordelon,
Bo Bordelon,
William, like Campbell,
Will Campbell,
Walker Howard.
Those guys
are
100% sold. Yeah,
they're gonna still come,
and they're your best recruiters right now.
Right,
and talking about recruiting, they're your best recruiters.
And let me tell you something, and I say this to any parent listening or recruit, because of the transfer portal, because of the graduate signees, you could be right back into the national championship scene right away.
Yeah,
it's handled.
It's not like it was 10 years ago.
No,
it's a whole new ball game. And look at Arkansas, Lee. Yeah. 2 years ago, they were at the bottom of the SEC, and look what Coach Pittman's doing now with that program and
with transfers and guys coming back. No, you can come back quickly. Actually, I think if LSU can keep these young guys on the team that they have. And you haven't even seen Landon Jackson from Texarkana yet.
Savion Jones. Sage Ryan.
Bryce Langston from Florida. All these D linemen aren't playing. I don't know why, but anyway, keep these guys on the team. You don't need a lot. You just need some Keo linemen maybe to transfer in.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And maybe a stud back.
Yep.
And a stud safety or two.
Right.
And a stud linebacker. You can get that in the transfer portal with the new guy.
Yeah.
And look, bam, you're right back in it. You're right. Look, UCLA beat LSU with transfers.
Yeah.
Like new transfers, like 2 months on the team. Those
Exactly.
two running backs, Charbonnet,
Yep.
and the other kid came from Duke in Michigan.
Yep. Right.
All right, people go, oh, you can't do that. No, you can.
Look at Kentucky. They came in with their transfers. Number one, he came in from
Darrell
Nebraska.
Rosenthal from LSU.
Darrell Rosenthal from LSU. The quarterback came from Penn State.
Right.
I mean, those are all needs Penn State needed, and Coach Stoops filled it out with the transfer portal.
All of a sudden, they're different.
Yep.
So I mean, this is, people get too emotional, I think, and they think it's the end game. Oh, it's good. We're gonna. No, it's different than the 1990s and the 80s and the early 2000s. The only thing I don't like again is the early signing period. That's the only thing that works against LSU, because once you sign, you gotta go with wherever you're signing,
right?
Letter intent,
right?
And the only way to get out of it, you'd have to get a waiver, or you'd have to sit out. So, hopefully LSU, and I think it'll be, in my opinion, Jace, when they make this decision. And the reason I don't think they're going to wait till the season is because I think it'll be a relief, and recruits will know, hey, look, they're going to bring in a new great coach.
Yep.
Let's wait to see who it's going to be.
Yep.
Instead of, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? You know what I mean? So
Scott Woodward, he's been down this path plenty of times before. He knows what he's doing, and you just have to trust and see what he does.
We're going to take a break, and I would love nothing more for LSU to ruin Florida's season.
They done it last year, And
I'm going to tell you something. LSU beat Mullen when they had 32 players last year. And don't count out LSU this week.
Somebody down the line, because it's going to get beat by LSU. I don't know who it is.
Somebody will.
It's going to happen. One of these teams is going to
trust me. Saban's probably saying, "Oh no, I hope LSU's winning because I don't want my team not to be prepared against them."
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about that too coming up.
When we come back, let's talk about Texas A&M. I'm still not sold on Jibbo being the next Saban, but I give him credit for beating
kudos,
Nick, and we'll be right back. If you need a paint job or repairs to your vehicle, go see Madine's Collision Center, located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, on Kincaid Avenue. The number to call is 357-7983. That's 357-7983. Your Baton Rouge Accident Advisors. Welcome back. You listen to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen. Jace LeJeune is our co-host today. Going to college football, I did watch the A&M Alabama game. I'm sure you did, Jace.
I actually watched more of that than the LSU Kentucky game.
Here's what's shocking to me, Jace. I've never seen somebody beat Saban with a quarterback who's not really there yet.
Yeah.
All right, LSU could not beat Alabama with Danny Etling, okay?
Right.
All right, this guy's like a Danny Etling, right, for A&M. He's not really there yet. And what is it, Calzada?
It's weirdly, so you look at some of the quarterbacks that did beat Alabama over the years. Of course, you got the Joe Burrows, the Johnny Manziels, the Sean Watsons, but there's also been the guys like Bo Wallace, Steven Garcia, guys just – Zach Calzada.
I think Alabama's having a little trouble getting their team to play hard every week, and I never thought I would say that.
Yeah, it is hard.
Their defense is not dominant like it used to be.
And I was having this conversation with Dad before the A&M games. Like, I just don't know how Nick does it. I mean, these 18, 24-year-olds get them up every single week, and then this happens. They weren't up against Texas A&M.
No, they weren't. And look, I'm not taking anything away from A&M. A&M has 2 losses.
Yeah, they played a good ball game. Right. They played really good.
But A&M is not going to the playoffs. They have 2 losses, and they still have to play some good teams. They still have to play LSU, which I think is a toss-up at this point. That's one I think LSU will probably win at home, right, by then.
Yep.
But A&M, outside of Spiller and a couple of running backs, Achan,
Weidemeyer,
Smith, Weidemeyer, their offensive line's not better than LSU's.
No, they're not.
Did you ever think that a bad O-line would have their way with Alabama?
I just never thought about that. But it
Think
comes
about
to show
that.
you.
A bad offensive line. You know, you would always say, well, LSU couldn't beat Alabama with a bad O-line.
Yeah, it was amazing. And knowing how Calzada was playing before coming to this game, I don't know what kind of quarterback he was that night, but he was a totally different animal that game.
You know what got him? Night and fans.
Yeah, the 12th man. Yep.
It was packed. It was at night. It was away, and it was packed and loud.
And I thought this was the first game, too, that Bryce Young looked like a first-year starting quarterback.
Well, his jersey was dirty.
Yeah, pressure.
The cleanest jersey I've ever seen as an Alabama quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But he had a lot of dirt on that jersey. It means he was on the ground a lot.
And they were blitzing them pretty much every third down, and they couldn't pick. And Alabama's offensive line couldn't pick it up, and it just really put Bryce just off the entire game. He was a second or two off, and you can tell from the pressure.
It goes to show you if you sack the quarterback a lot for Alabama, you got a chance, but you never see that.
Yeah.
The game was won by their fans and A&M's defense.
Yep.
That D-line for A&M was what LSU D-lines used to look like.
Yep. Right.
I mean, that D-line was coming after him and made Alabama fans are not liking their O-line right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, they lost a running back for the year.
They did.
McCullen.
Yep. Jace. Yep.
Who's a big loss for them.
Yep.
And they're running Robinson too much now.
Yeah.
And by the time LSU faces him, I don't even know if he'll be
playing.
The
running back, we were talking about how deep the running back room looked for Alabama. Now it's not looking deep. No. It looks like it's just Robinson out there.
Kamar Wheaton's out for the year, their star freshman from Texas.
Yep.
Robinson left from Maryland. He transferred to Texas.
Yep.
And they're down to the kid from IMG, Jones, who's coming off a knee injury. And they've got Robinson, and they've got three.
They had another guy, Williams, I think.
Yeah, Roydell.
Yeah, they had another.
Who's a drop-off, you can tell from Jace. Jace, yeah.
Yep, Jace McClellan, yep.
But they also have injuries. Chris Allen was a huge loss for them at DN.
Yeah, that was a big injury.
And they have a second defensive end injury from a redshirt freshman from Texas, which they're a little different. I mean,
yep.
But I still don't think A&M's going to be like, national champs every year, this and that. I mean, they got 2 losses.
Think about this, Lee. Trivia question for you. What was the last time Nick Saban, Alabama, lost to an unranked team?
I would say 12 years.
Yeah, it was when he took over in 2007. Yep. They lost to ULM.
Yeah.
That was the last time.
That was his first year.
Yeah, his first year. Yep.
Yeah. That's a big loss for Nick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they usually lose a game, and they fell in the rankings for the first time. I've never seen Alabama fall that much.
Yeah.
They usually go like 1-3 or 1-2. They went all the way to
5
and maybe 6 in the other polls.
If the season ended today, they wouldn't be in the college football playoff.
When they lost in the past, it was a ranked team.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I don't know.
It came in the hands of Jimbo, of course, his former assistant coach.
First one to beat him.
Yep.
Ever. And, it could be another one beating him before the year's over.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. They could have 2.
With Kirby. Yep.
I don't know. Georgia, I don't have them in yet, Jace, because they still have Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky's a real deal.
Kentucky can beat them.
Now, LSU, the fans just wanted LSU to play heads up with them, like old LSU.
That's the thing. I'll pull for you. You got to show me something. You got to be competitive. Yeah. You have to be competitive.
But to get rolled over by Kentucky is not acceptable.
No, that's unacceptable.
Kentucky can beat Georgia because Georgia's offense, to me, is not very good.
Yeah.
And Auburn's not that good of a team, and Auburn plays hard. They got to give the coach at Auburn credit.
Harson's getting the most out of them, I think.
Man, they play hard for him. Now, he's new.
Yep.
So new coaches sometimes
they usually do that new type of energy coming in.
And we're finding out that Arkansas is a team that plays with emotion more than talent. They've got 2 losses.
Boy, was that those first couple of games on Saturday were crazy. The Ole Miss, the Oklahoma game.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams.
I'm gonna tell you something. Ole Miss truly might put 55 on LSU, 60.
Oh, they're doing that against Arkansas. They could probably put 70.
It's in Oxford. And then you have Arkansas. Look, if Arkansas ends up 8-4, those fans are happy. They know they don't have a lot of talent.
They're already happy right now, Lee.
They're happy.
I guarantee it.
Ole Miss might end up with maybe 2 or 3 losses. Now, they want to win a championship. That's not going to happen.
No, but if they can make the Sugar Bowl, I mean, that's gonna be a good year. It's probably gonna be either them or Kentucky that makes the Sugar Bowl.
Well, I want LSU to ruin Florida's season this Saturday.
Yeah,
because then I want the cocktail party game to not matter.
Yeah,
and then Florida could
Dan Mullen struggled against LSU,
and then Florida could lose to Georgia. They can have 5 losses when this is over.
Yeah,
it's like, who's going to do worse, Florida or LSU, before this is over?
I put my money on LSU right now. Well, the bet.
Florida has to play Georgia. Now, Georgia's got to play Kentucky and Florida in the next 3 weeks. So Georgia is not a definite. So I would love for Kentucky to go to Atlanta.
No, I'm pulling for Kentucky. I really am.
I would love for that to happen. I'm pulling for Iowa, who I watched that game too, by the way, against Penn State.
Boy, I bet those Penn State fans wish they had Levis back. Because that was key with Clifford getting hurt.
I wish the LSU fans would get back to like the stadium in Iowa. Did you see that stadium in Iowa?
That was a great atmosphere. Yep.
I mean, it was 100,000 of yellow.
Yellow and black.
Yep. I mean, and it was just like the old days LSU.
They look like your team, Lee, the Steelers.
The Steelers, yeah. But I mean, the effort that Iowa puts up in that game, they're not super talented either. But, man, they play so hard. And their fans, not an empty seat in the stadium. Yeah. LSU's got to get that back. And then Texas game, Oklahoma. Now, you know that's going to be sold out.
Yep. It's going to be 50-50 Oklahoma, Texas fans.
If the coach at Texas wins that game, they're going to make a statue out of him, but he didn't do it. Oklahoma, the freshman quarterback,
Caleb Williams,
almost came to
LSU. You're right.
Looked like a freaking Michael Vick, man. I mean, his first play, 60-yard touchdown.
And then that touchdown pass he threw, wow.
He's got some stuff that is incredible. Now,
it has to be moving forward. It has to be Caleb Williams' team. I mean, it just has to be.
I think Ratley's going to have to transfer. I mean, it's just the way this works. He's not going to sit behind him for 3 years.
No.
And I don't know where he goes. He's from California, Arizona.
Arizona, yeah.
Maybe he'll go back to Arizona State.
Yeah, he could. Yep.
They're doing good.
Yep. Herm's done a good job over there.
Let's take a break, come back, talk about the state colleges, Jace. We'll talk about how they did in Louisiana. We'll be right back. Be sure to take your car and truck for all your tire needs to Treads and Care Tire Company located in Central. The number to call is 331-8144. Family owned and operated since 1971. That's Treads and Care Tire Company. Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen. Jace LeJeune is our co-host today. State colleges. Let's talk about the state colleges. Southeastern beat Nicholls State in a great game.
It was a shootout, and I had to watch that game to get ready for next Saturday because I'm going to be announcing Southeastern Houston Baptist. And it was it was your typical Southland Conference game, back and forth. 58-48 was the final score. Cole Kelly had 6 touchdowns.
Over
that
400
game.
yards passing.
400 yards passing. And then how about the freshman Jim they signed, and Gage Larvadane? And we saw him play at Riverside against Newman.
Yeah.
And he had a kickoff return for a touchdown. He had a 70-yard touchdown catch. Man, this offense, I'm glad LSU is not really playing Southeastern right now by the way they're playing. And being Nicholls, now they have to play Nicholls again later down the road. But they're looking really good right now for a Southland Conference championship.
Yeah, and Nicholls, they have Nicholls' number.
Yeah. They beat them last year in the spring. They beat them in the spring.
So, Lindsey Scott had some great numbers again.
Dejon Dixon had himself a great game.
Dejon Dixon will probably go in around 2 or 3 in the draft this coming year.
He's going to be a steal for somebody in the NFL.
Edna Carr, graduate.
Yep, you're right.
Grambling, I think, won, didn't they?
Grambling lost.
They lost.
But it's to a power, Alcorn State. So that's one of those games. They were right there. 24-20 was your final score.
Tulane, man, they're having a tough time.
Yeah, they are. And just the offense, I mean, at the beginning of the season, just the momentum with, the Oklahoma game and then winning by a blowout the next game. You thought, it's going to be Tulane's year, but they've really showed the last couple of weeks. They had to play Houston, and they lost 40-22 was your final. But I tell you what, Willie Fritz is your guy, though. I mean, like he is definitely your guy. He's really a good football coach, and Tulane's really lucky to have him, but they are struggling right now.
Having a tough year.
Having a tough year.
The ball's not bouncing their way. Tech is not having a great year.
Yeah, they're struggling defensively is Tulane, and I think that's a big reason why defensively they've really struggled the last couple weeks.
Well, they lost a lot off their defense. They had 3 guys drafted on their defense in the draft this past year. Most of their D-line left, 2 to the draft. They lost some key guys, like you said, but they had some injuries. Fans don't want to hear that, though. I mean, they wanted, I don't know, I would say they wanted an 8-4 season.
Yeah, they won 8-4 because the last couple of years
maybe.
they made back-to-back bowl games, which hasn't happened in 20 years.
Let's see how they finish out. They might be able to finish out with a bunch of wins, and if they can go 7-5, I mean, they were a rebuilding kind of team this year.
Yeah, offensively they got everything in place. Defense, they just need to build some of that depth and build some of those guys to step up.
ULL is doing pretty good. I mean, they had the loss to Texas early on, but that was, Texas.
Right. But they have a chance to really prove what they are. They actually play tomorrow, Lee. They play Appalachian State. It's going to be a big game, Sun Belt on Tuesday.
That is their toughest foe right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
If there's like a kryptonite with Superman and that's the kryptonite. Well, I mean, they've beaten them, but it's been a battle.
It's going to be 2 games. That game, and then when they eventually play Coastal Carolina, those are going to be the 2 games.
It's at UL or at Appalachian State?
Yeah, I'm going to look at it right now.
That's a key, because if it's at Appalachian State, I got to go with those guys. But if it's in Lafayette, they usually do well against them.
Is that Appalachian? Well, that's actually, let's see. That's actually... Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yep, Tuesday. Okay, so that's going to be at ULL. Yep.
I got to go with UL because they're good at home against them.
Yep.
But, boy, when they go up to the Appalachian Mountains up there to play those guys, the weather's different. The ball goes different in the air.
Yeah, last year there was an interesting ending to that one. I think they had 3 or 4 times for ULL that the punt, like the snap went over the punter's head, and it was a wacky game last year when both these teams played.
The wind's a little different over there, so it's going to be a little different. Might be a little colder.
Yeah.
In-state, Louisiana Tech has had an up and down year.
Yeah, they had a bye this week, so they didn't play. But you look at it, Lee, if they could easily be undefeated, if you think about it. They've lost by a touchdown to NC State. They lost on a Hail Mary to SMU.
In Mississippi State, they
missed a field goal at the very end against Mississippi State. So Louisiana Tech could easily be undefeated right now. And they've had some tough breaks.
Yeah, ULM's done a good job considering
the circumstances.
Not much talent.
No, they did lose this last week. They played Coastal Carolina last week.
That's a big game for them. Yeah,
they lost to Georgia State this week, but if you're a ULM fan, you have to be ecstatic what you're seeing so far because, I mean, no wins last year. They've already won 2 wins already.
Yeah. And
then talking to Coach Bowden, like I said, he said, if we can get 1 win this year, it's going to really set us like a lot of positive momentum.
And by the way,
won 2.
Northwestern State won. Clap,
yeah, they did.
Yeah,
they did.
State.
They finally won the game. They beat Houston Baptist.
Oh, man.
And it's going to be tough for Houston Baptist because I'm going to be announcing their game against Southeastern. So that was a game Houston Baptist had to win, and Northwestern State, they finally got a win on the board.
Oh, man, those kids, man, they've been grinding with not a lot of luck. There's some good people in Natchitoches.
Yeah, they've actually played hard. There were a couple games last year, actually not last year, I'm thinking of like the COVID year, but in the spring that they should have won, and they came close.
Yeah.
So it was good to see them get a win, and a much-needed win against a team that's also struggling in Houston Baptist.
Before we take a break and we'll talk about high schools when we come back, I want to mention the game that everybody needs to watch out for this coming week, besides Florida LSU, is Alabama-Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State, they beat A&M, okay?
They did.
A&M beat Alabama.
Yep. Digest
that.
Yep.
Mississippi State threw and ran all over A&M, right?
And LSU beat Mississippi State.
Right. That offense from Mississippi State it's difficult to defend. Alabama's defense is very much in panic mode right now. And do you know that Leach is smiling ear to ear right now in Starksville going, you know what? No one's taking us to win. No one thinks we can win. Alabama, most people say, oh, they're going to be mad. I think they're going to.
Actually, that's my perception is.
But they're going to be beat up. That was a physical game in College Station.
Yeah, it was.
That wasn't like they lost to Coastal Carolina. No offense to them. I'm talking about this was a grown man game, and that was a very physical. Saban doesn't give out an injury report till like the day of the game.
Yeah.
And if they have any other guys hurt or out, I think Mississippi State's going to have a chance. I really do, because I'm going to tell you, their quarterback has really come on from Brandon, Mississippi.
Yeah.
Rogers.
Yeah, he's looked good.
And their receivers are coming on. They got a receiving core like LSU. They got 4 or 5. And their O&D line, they didn't give up a sack. I think 1 or 2 sacks to LSU total.
Yeah. One was like right before half, too.
They're getting better. And I know Saban is really, really, for the first time. Has he ever lost back-to-back at Alabama?
No. I don't think so.
And this is not the greatest Bama team I've ever seen.
But I think they're going to bounce back. I mean, it's just the way they are.
Well,
and Nick Saban after a loss.
There's no Najee Harris this year, Jace. There's no Derrick Henry.
I think they're going to be mad. I really do. They're going to play mad, and they're going to be really upset how they let that game go. You know how kids respond.
Yeah.
They're going to be.
Boy,
they're going to be amped up.
It would be nice to see Starksville.
Now, would I want Mississippi State to pull the win? Yes, I do.
Starks Vegas.
I'm tired of seeing Alabama win.
Those cowbells, and if they can stay in the game and pull this off, wouldn't it be something that Bama's out of it after two losses first part of the season?
Now, that would be insane. That would be something you never thought seeing.
And if Kentucky goes to Atlanta and not have to play in Alabama?
That's going to be unusual. Because
what if Kentucky makes it?
Well, Kentucky's on Georgia's side,
right.
So they're going to have to.
I'm just saying.
Right.
What if Kentucky makes it, Alabama doesn't make it?
that would be crazy.
And you have like Ole Miss slip in, right? It's an Ole Miss Kentucky game.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, that would be.
Because if Bama loses again, the tiebreaker wouldn't go.
Well, actually, Ole Miss would have the lead because Ole Miss would have 1 loss and Alabama would have 2 losses.
Yeah.
But they would need Alabama to lose again because Alabama has a tiebreaker over Ole Miss.
But it's going to see it's survival of the fittest right now. Like, what will Arkansas, A&M, and Ole Miss do for the next 6 games? I mean, you just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Arkansas might go to Atlanta in the end. You never know.
The SEC West is a grind. It really is.
Yeah.
Even the bomb of the SEC West can get you on any given day.
Everybody's good but Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll talk high school football. Looking for a used car? Harvey Autos has 3 dealerships, which means 3 times the used vehicles. They've got everything from fuel-efficient compacts to luxury models, even hybrids, and certified pre-owned with a warranty. Check out John Harvey Toyota, Harvey Subaru, or Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City. Welcome back. You listen to the Sports Scouting Report. Lee Brecheen, your host, Jace LeJeune, co-host. I want to mention, Jace, I am now on 130 schools watching film-wise at a 310. I'm at actually 132 schools. I hope to be at 200 before the week's over. I know we're working on some highlight tapes for kids as well. A lot of good teams this year. I want to mention in Monroe, General Trask is undefeated.
Yeah,
they won. They had 62 points this past week.
Yeah, Delhi Char, they won 62-6.
Great job at General Trask. That staff is incredible. Yeah. Tarano Wells is doing a great job.
They're just getting better and better, and Coach Wells loves that program.
West Monroe is doing better. They're getting better. They beat Alexandria High School.
And I was a crazy streak, I think, with West Monroe. They've won, 99 straight district games or something. It was like a streak against and Alexandria's in their district. So
yeah,
I think it was like a streak of 99 straight district wins.
Almost
That's
like
insane.
Alabama's 100 games without a loss to an unranked team.
Yeah.
And then, U High is really having a great year locally.
They beat a really good Bruley team it wasn't even close, 42-6.
Very good Bruley team.
Very good Bruley team.
The job that they're doing at U-High right now, coaching-wise, is off the chart because U-High is talented, but they're not that NFL team they were 3 years ago, but they are better. They're just as good of a team. I mean, they are a very good team. I mean, those guys, you're talking about play hard at U-High. I mean, even like the kid Dylan Smith that we're doing his highlight tape, the DB, unsung hero, has 5 interceptions.
Yeah.
Jason, he's not even being talked about with Osbury and all these other great players they have on defense. But here you have a safety as a senior, Dylan Smith, with 5 interceptions through 6 games.
Yeah, it's insane. And another shocker that I saw during the week, Lutcher beat St. James 41-19.
That's a big statement.
And that was a statement win by Lutcher.
Because I saw St. James play this year early on, and they got a great defense. And to put 42 on that defense is saying a lot. Chaz Preston's a real deal. I keep saying it. He's the next Chase to me, Jamar Chase type of player.
Yep.
Hope he ends up. I think he's the kind of kid that can end up at LSU regardless. He could go anywhere in the country, though. But his brother's at Mississippi State.
Yep.
You've got some great teams this year under the radar. Captain Shreve's a team I like a lot, Jace, up in Shreveport. Captain Shreve, they've got Kendrick Law, who's being heavily recruited as a running back, receiver, DB, everything. He's a Swiss Army knife kind of recruit. He can do anything. He runs a 4.39 40.
Yep.
I interviewed him up there in person this summer.
He did.
He's grown a lot. He's 6'1.5", about 190. Runs 4.39, and he'd be. It's like, where do you need him? Receiver, corner, just being returning punts and kicks. Talk about how Shreve's doing.
Yeah, they
good.
beat a really good Benton team, 48-35. The thing with Captain Shreve is just getting over the hump, over the second round, past the second round, because every single year, the last couple of years, they would run into West Monroe. So they just need to get over that hump, and I know they want to try to avoid playing West Monroe.
Well, it's very similar to North DeSoto from North Louisiana. They are trying to get past the first round, and Dennis Dunn's done a phenomenal job at North DeSoto. They have a great team. They look a little different than I've seen the last 15, 20 years.
Yeah, they beat Minden pretty good, 28-7.
And Minden's got a good ball team. I've seen them play this year.
Yep.
Calvary Baptist is the team to beat again, in the private side of, I think, 2A, right?
Yeah, it's going to be the private side of 1A.
1A, yes.
But I tell you, a team that's going to be right there with them is Ouachita Christian.
I mean, they're in it every year.
Yeah.
I think Coach Fitzhugh does a phenomenal job. I think their wide receivers incredible.
Yeah, I just did an article on them on Friday. So he's the real deal.
Ouachita Christian's a big team. They're bigger than they've been. They're very athletic. They lost their quarterback who graduated signed with ULL last year.
Yeah, Hunter Herring.
They haven't missed a beat.
Yeah, Landon Graves has played really well.
Oh, man, he's a great player. He's a big kid.
He probably actually gives them more of a threat in the passing game.
And he can run.
Yeah.
And so you basically got the same kind of guy back at quarterback, a little faster than Hunter.
Than the big, powerful runner, Hunter Herring.
In the state, I think Kentwood's getting better as a young team.
Yep.
I'm talking about low classification, the small 1As.
Yeah, they won pretty big against Independence.
Oak Grove is still Oak Grove. They're going to be in it in the end.
Yeah, everybody is saying that they started the season 0-3, and everybody's paying, but they were playing like Ouachita Christian and Sterlington.
The who's who.
The who's who in North Louisiana. So they're going to be just fine. They're going to be in it when it comes to a state championship at the end.
I watched Westgate play Friday night. And they beat St. Thomas More pretty soundly.
Yeah, right.
Now, you can say, Walker
Howard didn't play.
But even if Walker would have played, this game probably still would have been like 50-35 Westgate.
I still think Westgate would have won that game regardless. They've looked really good this year. They got a lot of weapons.
They moved their receiver, Doucette, to quarterback.
Yeah.
Because Brennan Landry went down with an injury earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Now, Brennan's come back.
He's played for a while. Yep.
Now, he's a receiver, Jace, and he's a good-looking and they kept him at receiver, and they've kept Doucette at quarterback. Doucette runs a 4.39.
Yep.
And they've got a tight end.
They got that big tight end. They have
6'5", 250, runs a 4.7.
Danny Smith, I think.
Danny is a great tight end. He plays receiver for him.
Yeah.
And there's not a faster team in Louisiana. than Westgate. Westgate had, if you did a track meet, it's all right, take your top 15 guys and let's run the 100, 200. Westgate would be the fastest team in the state right now, outside of Carr.
Yeah.
Edna Carr would probably be the only one that could be close to them. And then Neville's still doing well.
Yep, Neville's doing really good. They had a big win.
Ruston's getting better.
Ruston blanked out Pineville. Brother Martin blew out Rummel.
That's a statement.
That was a statement win.
And I think Jesuit's still really good this year.
Jesuit beat St. Aug 42-12. They beat them by 30 points.
St. Aug's a real deal.
Yeah. They look really good.
But I'm a fan of Jesuit this year. I think Jesuit could win it all. I think Jesuit's the only team I think that can beat Catholic.
That can challenge Catholic High. Yeah.
Now, Brother Martin's a younger team, but they might shock me and be as talented as Jesuit, but Jesuit's an older team that's got a little more size. Brother Martin lost their whole offensive line from last year.
Yeah, they did. But they got a pretty good offensive line this year.
Michael Broad has done a good job. He's 6'2", 320.
Yeah, he's committed to Arkansas Monticello. Then you have Jason Montgomery Scott. He's committed to Air Force.
300 pounds.
And they got undersized center, but he's played like the like the last couple of years. And
he's 5'7", 280.
Yeah, but he's short, but he's not,
but
small.
It's obviously going to come down to Brother Martin and Jesuit. And you can't count Curtis out. You can't count St. Aug out.
Yeah, speaking of that, JT gets his 600th win. The only second high school coach ever to do that.
I respect him, man, more than any coach in the state. He's well deserving. Do you know? I thought about this the other day, and I don't have all the stats and figures in front of me, but I don't know of anybody that started the private school side in Louisiana before him.
Yeah.
Like JT's and his dad were the first really private school in Louisiana to start the private school drive.
Right. Yeah.
Like they didn't have anything. Okay, they just started a school.
Yeah, and think about it, their first year, considering he has 600 wins. They didn't win the game.
No.
That's amazing, considering the best you can do is 12-13-0.
But think about when they started their private school, Jace. There weren't hardly any private schools.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're talking about the 70s now. We're talking about prior to.
Yeah, it was pretty much all public.
Yeah,
it was.
This was like a new thing, right? Mm-hmm. And everybody that started the private schools tried to implement what they were doing, like
Evangel Christian.
Tried to implement Parkview. Everybody was implementing JT. That's the respect. He was the Saban, is the Saban of high school coaches in Louisiana.
Yeah, think about Parkview. They were running the same offense that John Curtis was running.
But there was no Parkview when Curtis was open the first year.
No.
There was no Ouachita Christian football team. There was none of these other private schools, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they were the first one to show how you can do this, how you can build a program, and it's owned by the family, and it's so unique. And I think they do a phenomenal job. JT could have left his school years ago and become a head coach at a lot of colleges.
Over the years, there had to be so many people calling him, coaches calling him asking for a job.
You want to be our coordinator? You want to do this and that?
Yeah.
But he
stuck with it.
I respect him so much to stay there. And stay there for his sons, too, that came behind him that are coaches, and his family. And just to stay there his whole career. And I think that is very rare.
And he's done it at every level. He's done it from the small 1A. He's done it at 5A. He's done it whatever they're at. He's not scared.
I mean, they could have went back to 2A and dominated, but he stayed in 5A.
Yeah.
Which is difficult.
He's always in the thick of things in 5A.
And they're still the toughest team to beat in New Orleans to game plan. I mean, their offense is still tough.
It's the same offense, a split back veer. They ran that since the very beginning.
But kudos to Coach. I was on Kenny Trahan's show Friday, and we talked about it, Jason.
Yeah, okay.
He's 23 wins away from the national record of all-time wins by any high school coach in the history of high school football.
He's going to pull it off, too, because he looks great for his age.
He does.
He looks really, really good.
So I think he'll end up probably with 6 or 7 wins this year more.
Mm-hmm.
And then next year he'll
be close.
He'll be close, but
and then
2023 probably.
2023 is where they project him to break the record.
I mean, he's 23 away from the most wins of any high school coach in the country.
Think about it. You only play how many games you play a year, Lee? At most, 15.
Well, when he started.
Yeah.
His first 25, 30 years, it was only like 11 games and then maybe the playoffs, right?
And he's won 600 of them.
There was probably 10 game season, right? But there was less games back in the 70s and 80s overall. But what he's done is incredible. Again, kudos to Coach JT and his family.
Yep.
I really respect him so much.
And the thing he would say, Lee, is he wouldn't take credit for it. He will give credit to everybody that's been along with him and over the years and has helped him get those wins. He's always been a humble guy, and he doesn't let all the wins and the championships get to him. He's always been the same guy.
Nobody visits a high school in the summer more than John Curtis High School, and people go, what do you mean by that? Well, what I mean by this is that if you go in the spring or summer, prior to COVID, you would see 150 to 200 colleges visit his school in the spring and then in the summer. Nobody gets that. Not just because it was the program at the time, but because of who he is. They want to go talk shop with him. They want to go talk about who do we hire.
Right.
Who have you seen and what do you think?
Advice to how to run the program.
Right.
I mean, that's
so every college coach from Ohio University to Dartmouth to Buddy Tevens to Central Florida, you name it, they go to JT Curtis in the spring because I've been to the school a few times and I've experienced this. I've actually been in the waiting room of a very modest school.
Yep.
And I've been in the waiting room with coaches from Notre Dame and Alabama and Georgia and Florida all in the same day.
Wow.
And you're waiting to go in there to talk to this gentleman, JT Curtis. And I felt pretty good one day because I walked in before all the big shots showed up. And I remember the secretary coming in the back saying, JT, you have Saban waiting for you. And you have Stoops waiting for you. And it's like just Lee Brecheen, who's a nobody's in there meeting with JT.
Wow.
And I'm like, Coach, man, no, you're good. We'll be okay. We'll finish in time. And
yeah.
But
he's always treated everybody with 100% respect. You got to admire the man about that.
I'm actually hoping they get to the state championship game because of him and what they're doing. They don't have the talent that Brother Martin has or St. Aug has now or Jesuit. But they still have the mindset of
they're going to be disciplined. They're not. You're going to have to beat them. They're not going to beat themselves.
And they go in every game thinking they're going to win it.
Yep.
And they don't make mistakes. You see a flag thrown, you might see one a game on them.
Maybe. That's what I said.
Maybe
you're going to have to beat them. They're not going to give it to you.
And as good as Jesuit is, Jesuit hasn't beaten them in I think 3 years. Okay.
Yeah, I think the last time they played in a state championship game, and Foster Moreau was still there.
That might be
the last time they won. It's been a while.
Yeah. So and Jesuits have to play them like twice a year the last 2 years. Unfortunately, that playoff bracket's very small. You got to double up on teams you got to play for a second.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I don't like about it.
Yeah, and actually, the last broadcast of Episcopal game, since it was a blowout early, we did talk a lot about the private public, but that's one probably for another show, Lee, go into all that. It's something to talk about.
And final thing just to mention before we go, LSU baseball had 2 scrimmages, Jace.
Hey, bright side LSU fans, LSU baseball and basketball season coming around the corner.
And they're loaded.
Yeah.
And I'm not just blowing smoke. I mean, they return everybody, and then the new coach Johnson brought in 5
He brought his Arizona guys.
He had some big-time recruits come in.
Yep.
And he got a guy throwing 98 miles an hour as a reliever coming in from San Francisco College, right?
Yeah.
I mean, who does that? He brings in a 98-mile-an-hour reliever, and then he brings in one of his relievers from Arizona, and people go, does LSU have a reliever? Well, now you got like 5, not even counting Fontenot.
Yeah.
And LSU only had Fontenot last year.
Now that was it.
Yeah, so now you have 5 closers who can throw 94
amazing.
Up, and the coach hadn't even played a game yet. And by the way, they have 9 players coming back that are capable of hitting 20 home runs.
Right.
LSU might lead the country in home runs for the first time since Gorilla Ball back in the 90s or the late
because
90s.
you have Jacob Berry coming in, right, and then Dylan Cruz. So
Doughty had a great game. Dugas they're all power hitters. And then Brody Drost had 2 home runs in one game in the scrimmage the other day.
Yeah.
He went 3 for 4 with 2 home runs. Big kid from Barb, who's another one that is going to try and find. And I mean, there's just so. And Beloso, if he gets his bat back with this new coach, he might find his rhythm and hit another 15 homers.
Yeah.
They got a catcher from Sanford coming in who hit 15 home runs last year.
No, there's going to be a power-hitting team. There's no doubt about that.
So I wouldn't want to – I'm going to tell you, they're going to be good.
And then we talk about this. This could be one of Will Wade's best teams he's had. I mean, it's like it could be a really good year for LSU basketball, too. And recruiting is good as it's always been under him. And
remember one name, Jace, for these, and I'm here. He's tearing it up preseason. This freshman who actually enrolled last year as a student from Jacksonville, Lee, Florida.
Okay.
Alex Fudge.
Yeah.
6'8".
Wow.
210 now, I believe. He was like 180 when he came in.
Yep.
They said there's nothing he can't do on the court, that he's extremely amazing. He is back, and they've got a phenomenal 6'11" center they signed from Virginia.
Yeah.
Who is going to be the best player since Naj Reed as a post guy. And he's more talented defensively than Naj Reed. Naj was more of an offensive guy, if you remember.
Yeah, right, yep.
But the 6'11" center from Virginia was someone they stole.
And that's a guy that they've been missing.
Yeah, they need that big guy.
That big guy. That's the only thing
and
they've been
got
missing.
a 6'10" freshman from Texas who finished in Tennessee, who's 220 and a shot blocker and a great deal. So you got two guys down low to play center. Last year you didn't have any.
Yep. And
Monty Wilkinson's having a great offseason too.
Yep. And then you got a guy from Illinois, Adam Miller, who's been
led
in the big
Big
games.
10 in threes last year.
He's been in the big games in the Big Ten and the NCAA tournament, so there's a veteran guy that can come in with a lot of these freshmen.
And Pinson transferred from Missouri.
Yep, right.
He had like 50
He went off against LSU.
Yeah, and he's a senior. So you got a bunch of point guards. You got two centers finally. You didn't have any. And then you picked up a forward, right, from Cincinnati, Tara Eason.
Yep.
Who's 6'8", 220. So now you got three guys down low that can block shots. That's all Will missed last year.
Yeah, that's it. And in the last couple of years, that was a rim protector. That was one thing that they were missing, and they feel that need.
The 6'11" kid, the name's not coming to me right now, but he's from Virginia, signed with LSU. He's an incoming freshman. By the way, he was academic freshman of the month over the summer school enrolling, Jace. 6'11", about 230, can shoot threes, can block shots. He reminds me a lot like a Tim Duncan. You know, kind of guy like that that's super smart, tall, long, like 7'2" in length, a true 6'11", 6'11 and a half.
Yeah, I got it now. Is it Efton Reed?
Efton Reed,
yeah.
Not Naj Reed, but Efton Reed.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
He's going to be phenomenal for them. You put Eason down low as a forward. You've got Monty, who's a better player as a small forward. You've got Shaquille O'Neal's son coming back, who, if he can stay healthy, he's 6'10".
Yep.
This is the tallest team Will's ever had, and like I said, you've got tons of guards. The freshman Brandon
Murray.
Murray's a 6'5", two guard who can shoot.
Yep. Darius Days came back.
Darius Days is coming back.
Yep.
He's 6'7", about 248, 250.
Yeah, Bradley, the other freshman.
He's
Los
6'8",
Angeles,
California. He's 6'8", 255. This is a humongous team.
Different than the last 2 years as far as their length goes.
I mean, if they would have had a center last year, they'd probably go to the Final Four.
Yeah.
They just couldn't stop anybody down low.
Right.
Watford was only 6'7".
Yeah.
I know they listed him 6'9".
Yeah.
And then you had no height. And
Yep.
you still freaking almost won the SEC tournament.
Yeah, they came up like one play short against one missed shot short against Alabama.
And you win an NCAA tournament game, which is always good.
Yep. So
So
they're right there to make they feel that need, and hopefully that will propel them to make the next step.
I think the key is if Gaines can develop a shot.
Yep.
The sophomore from Georgia.
Yep.
To go with Pinson.
Yep.
If Gaines can develop, he's a phenomenal defensive player.
Yeah, that's always been his forte.
He could lead the SEC in steals. I mean, that guy is really super fast. I don't know what he runs if he played football, but he looks like a 4-4 guy.
Yeah, he does.
So Gaines is the key to me for them to be a complete team, and Pinson and him rotating, and like you said, the kid from Illinois,
Illinois. Right, Miller. Yep.
Adam Miller. Those are three phenomenal guys. And you don't even realize that the Walker All-American transferred out after freshman year this past year. You don't even remember that he's gone.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, I mean, I've never seen a roster change so much so fast.
Yep.
Only 3 starters, 3 people came back.
Mm-hmm.
3.
Yep.
Only 3, and then they're better.
Jalen Cook, was that what it was?
Jalen Cook, yeah.
Cook,
and people forgot about him. He transferred out.
Yeah, that's right.
So
teammate of Brian Thomas for LSU football, Brian's been playing pretty well. I mean, that's something you're looking forward to for the future for LSU football, because a lot of guys.
Malik Neighbors might have to get more passes now that I don't know what's going to go on with Butte.
Yeah.
And look, before we end the show, if anything happens with LSU, this show is recorded in the morning on Monday.
Right.
So we don't. If something breaks at 2-3 in the afternoon, it's going to be after.
It did look pretty bad. At the game, just based what the type of injury too that it could be. Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I pray that he's okay. That it's not anything broke.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's just like a sprain.
Yeah, and my prayers go out to him. And he was on pace for having All-American season.
9 touchdowns in 5 games.
He was leading the country in touchdown catches. Like, you knew this season, based off the last couple of games, that LSU could have 2 All-Americans. And that's Kayshawn and that's Cade York. So hopefully he's fine. But if not, it's a prime opportunity for these young receivers to step up and who emerges.
Well, a message to all the LSU players: just keep fighting hard, playing hard.
That's what I said.
And everything's going to be okay. Look, LSU has the money and the resources to stay on top. Don't worry about that. If you're fans and you're panicking, whenever they make this decision for a coach or when they make a decision with Ed, that's when they do it. And just support LSU in the meantime. Go to the Florida game.
Yep, absolutely.
These kids need your support at LSU. They don't need empty seats during this. They need you to support them.
It will help a lot of things. It will help the kids. It will help them, still turn around. You still got, they're 3-3. They still got half a season left, and let's see if they can turn around and make it, a decent end to the season. A respectful end to the season, and especially with some of these games coming up. I mean, these are huge games, huge opponents coming up. And the fans, you have to be there to not only support the team and support these players, because the players going to want to play hard. There's the players, you got to cheer for the players, you got to root for the university. It also helps with recruiting, especially with everything going on right now.
And if I'm the coaches at LSU, play everybody. Mm-hmm. I mean, the season's lost on championships. Play everybody. Don't go, well, this guy's no. Put them on the field. Play everybody.
It's almost like a glorified preseason, the next couple of games. Because you know that the season's already lost. You still have, the only thing that you really have planned for is you have to play for a bowl
game.
Because you have to win 3 more games, and it's going to be tough sledding to win 3 of these games coming up. So you still got something to play for in that aspect. And you got some of the rivalry trophies like the Golden Boot against Arkansas and, in games like that.
Yeah. So we'll go to our site, LAFootballmagazine.com. If you still want to get our preview issues, we do our South copy and North Magazine copy and a digital. If you've never listened to the show before, you can go to our website, LAFootballmagazine.com. Thanks to all our sponsors. I hope you have a great Monday. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Thanks for listening to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen.